big hello to our Highlights Foundation family. We're so happy to have you here with us. Thank you for dealing with the small technical hiccups. This is a first for us, having 4 people in one time, so thank you so much. For those that may not know me, I am Kat Galliano. My pronouns are she, her. I am the social media manager here at the Highlights Foundation, also known as the person resharing your post and probably liking your post with blue and green hearts. That's me. I'm joining you from Westchester, New York, on the traditional lands of the Siwanoy people. And apart from all the fun things I get to do at the Highlights Foundation, one of my greatest joys is celebrating the book birthdays of our community members, faculty, and friends, because all of your wins are our wins here at the Highlights Foundation. And today I have the immense honor of celebrating We Mostly Come Out at Night, 15 queer tales of monsters, angels, and other creatures. This YA anthology is finally out in the world and available for purchase. And with us tonight is contributing editor Rob Costello and 2 of the many talented writers featured, Alexandra Villasante and Jonathan Lenore-Caston. We are so excited to have you here with us today and to celebrate all of you and your wonderful stories. But before we dive in, I want to remind our viewers that joining in any Highlights Foundation sessions to do so with no hate, no harm, and no harassment of any kind. Now let's get started. So my first question, which is open to all of you, how are you feeling today? It is publication day, it is book birthday day, it is the baby is out in the universe day. Tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling overwhelmed. Been on social media all day posting like mad, so
doing
it's a lot.
amazing job, Rob. Yeah, completely exciting. I mean, my favorite part of being in an anthology is reading everybody else's story. I have spent way too much time with my own story. No, thank you. I want to read everybody else's story. So I just got this arc like a week ago, I think, and I'm like plowing through it because it's just delightful. That's the fun, seeing everybody else's work.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Jonathan?
I feel the same way. I'm excited to read everyone else's stories. I haven't got a copy yet. Still waiting, but hopefully.
Well, mine came today, so I don't know when your mail
Okay.
comes, but
Maybe
maybe
tomorrow.
tonight or maybe
Okay.
tomorrow.
Also, Rob, I would love to just say thank you for your honesty, because I feel like not a lot of people say that they're overwhelmed on publication day. So
really?
thank you. Yeah, I feel like people are mostly, or people are just like fibbing and not telling how actually nervous they are.
Or
So
they just
thank
got
you for sharing that.
more together than I do, which is very fun.
No, they're lying, Rob. They're lying. Everybody is in a flop sweat on pub day.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's pretty much it.
So let's talk a little bit about how the idea of this book came to you and what the process was to get it on the page. So I guess if we want to start with Rob, and then we'll kind of circle around.
I think the idea came to me years ago. I've always loved monsters since I was a kid. And I've always felt like monsters were inherently queer because they're kind of the other, they're outsiders. They're always sort of treated as the outsiders by society. And so, I don't know, there's something queer about that. And I wanted to do something to have a book exist in the world about monsters, about queerness, and about how empowering I think that combination can be. And so I was in an anthology that a friend of all of ours, Nora Shalloway Carpenter, put together a few years ago called Rural Voices. And I worked with Nora a little bit on that as a contributor, and it was so much fun. And I thought, I really want to do an anthology of my own. And I called up Nora, how do I do this? And she gave me basically the checklist of everything I had to do and how to get started. And I just talked to my agent and said, this is what I want to do. And we went from there. And yeah,
and you did it.
Yeah,
and you did it. I can't understand.
And here it is.
Yeah, and here it is. And here it is. 3 years later, here it is.
I don't have the wherewithal to keep going, and it's not easy, but you did it, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for contributing such wonderful stories. So that was the most fun for me, was asking people, like, oh, I really want Alex to contribute a story. Would you like to be in my anthology that I'm putting together?
And how
Jonathan, would you
fast
like
did I
to
say
be in my
yes? Like how fast?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
You
fast.
both
So
said
fast.
fast. Yes, really fast. And without
It's a wonderful idea.
without any guarantee that it would happen. It was before, before we had a deal or anything. It was just the idea, putting together the idea. So thank you both for that vote of
It's
confidence.
such a great idea, Rob. That's really what fascinated me. One, you were like, pick your monster, which was like, ooh, that's good. But also the like you were saying about having that idea of queerness being other or a hidden part of yourself or a part that you don't want to acknowledge or other people don't want to acknowledge. Like that was really fascinating to me. And really I was like, I immediately saw it. Like it had a different name when you first pitched it to us. But I was like, I see the queer monster, and I've been saying on my social media, which I'm not on a lot, but like I want to be the queer monster I want to see in the world. Like I want to be that, representative of like that like those monstrous parts of what does that mean when somebody deems you monstrous. So I love it. I'm just fangirl.
And you knew right away what you were going to write about. I mean, like that first conversation, you were like, I think I want to write about a sea witch. It's like, okay, that's really 100%. Cool.
Yeah, because in my family comes from Uruguay, and we have a sea goddess. Like not we, but there is a sea goddess that is part of some religious practice in South America. And I was like, oh, this is a instant like I got this and I want to put this together, and it just went from there. So super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Jonathan? Like you didn't have an idea right away when I asked
you. No, I didn't. I think originally I thought maybe I'd write something about a werewolf, but then that didn't end up happening. And then when you brought it up again, I've been working on a bunch of different fairy tale retellings, and the Beauty and the Beast one that I was doing was like the most finished, not completely finished, but so I thought like, okay, that's a monster. That works.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. Just to let you know, as someone who loves Beauty and the Beast, the way I audibly gasped when I turned like from the contributors list to like the first story and was like, oh, this story speaks to me already.
Oh my gosh, the illustration.
The illustration.
And the illustration.
So
yeah,
I mean,
I think that's my favorite in the whole book.
like the audible gasp that left my body when I was like, oh yes, already. Like I knew I was going to love it, because as someone who is kind of scared of scary things, I love the concept of this. So I was like, I'm excited to explore monsters in this sense. So when I opened that first page, saw that brilliant illustration about the beast, and I was like, oh, I am hooked. I'm in. I'm ready for this ride, for all these stories to come to me. So it was just such a wonderful, wonderful read. So people, go get the book. So my third question for all three of you is, can you talk about your journey and how the Highlights Foundation has played a part in it?
A short story is about a moment. It's all the things that lead up to that moment and all the things that happen as a result, as a consequence of that moment, but it's just a moment. A book is a lot of moments and a lot of, moving through time. But a short story is about a moment. And that really helped me of how I got the confidence to write short stories.
And now there's so many short stories out there, Alex. So
yeah. You've been in so many anthologies. This is what, like 4 or 5 for you?
Wow.
It's all Catherine.
Yeah.
Lucky number 5. Woohoo!
That's awesome. Jonathan,
okay,
do you want to?
I can go. So I obviously friends with Rob, also friends with Nora and Nicole. So I've seen them talking about Highlights for years and all the different workshops and stuff, and always thought, I wanted to go. But I'm originally from the West Coast, so before it would have been more difficult to get to, to actually get there. I'm in Massachusetts now, so it's easier. And I also wanted to do the whole novel workshop, but I hadn't finished my novel. So finished last year and then went in November for the first time and had a great time. Really felt like a very supportive community, um, and very encouraged to keep going with what I'm working on and finish it. So,
Yeah, your novel's wonderful.
thank you.
I mean, if the Beauty and the Beast retelling was any sampling, I cannot wait for a completed novel from you. So,
Thanks.
people are saying that the audio is going in and out. I'm okay on my end. I don't know about any of you. Hopefully, it's okay now.
Alex is cutting in and out for me.
Yeah, Alex, I do hear cutting in and out, but I hear Jonathan and Rob perfectly fine. Okay.
Okay. And so I'll just jump in with my background with the Highlights Foundation. I've been part of Whole Novel since 2014, and I credit. And so I credit the Highlights Foundation with so much of the good stuff that's happened in my career. Met my agent at the Highlights Foundation.
Oh wow!
The people that my cohort of faculty have all sort of helped me along, taught me how to write, taught me everything I know and care about writing. And when this book came about, Alex, I met through the Highlights Foundation. She was one of the first people that I asked to be a part of it. And then another contributor, S. Maxwell, who writes under Sarah Maxwell, was a student in Whole Novel in 2022, I think. And we had a slot open up in the book, and she had read a story for her reading at our last night of Whole Novel, and it was so good. And I thought, oh, she would be perfect for this. And so I dropped her an email, and sure enough, she wanted to do it. So I don't know, so much good stuff has come my way, thanks to the Highlights Foundation.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, because I also met Rob at the Highlights Foundation, and I met Alex at the Highlights. Jonathan, we're just gonna have to coincide one of these trips and find each other on campus. But that is so cool. I did not realize how instrumental almost all these meetings at Highlights has been to your career. Thank you for sharing that. Everyone is saying that the audio is now better, so that's great. It might have just been Alex that was having some tech issues on her side and was interrupting the feed. Hopefully Alex will pop back in. But in the meantime, I would love to move on to our next question, which is, as somebody who loves reading anthologies and would one day love to be in a collection of anthologies, tell us a little bit about how an anthology takes flight. And how does the list of contributors take shape?
So, it's different for every book, but especially in children's literature, most anthologies are primarily by invitation. So in different fields, like in science fiction and horror and other genres, sometimes an editor will put out a call. And invite people to contribute to submit stories, and then they'll pick the ones they like the best for the book. But in Kids Lit, because of the way publishing works in Kids Lit, you really need to have the book pretty much put together before an editor will buy it. And so I described briefly how I came up with the idea, and my agent and I worked on assembling a proposal. And then, which basically was a description, like a page or two pitch for the concept of the book, and then a list of contributors that I'd either asked or that I wanted to ask, and then a sort of a market analysis of other books that that similar kinds of anthologies, but that had already been published and how successful they'd been. And then various other marketing information and sample stories. And those are the hardest to get because you're really asking somebody to write on spec something that may or may not, they may never sell it. They may, nothing may happen. But I was really fortunate in that I wrote a story myself. And then Merck Van Wolfmore, who is one of the contributors, had published a story that I really, really loved. And they let me use that as one of the sample stories. And then another writer who I dearly love, let me use one of their stories as a sample. And they ended up not being in the book after all. But with those 3 samples and the proposal put together, we sent it out to a bunch of different editors, and Brittany Pirelli at Running Press said yes, and she's been absolutely wonderful. Everybody at Running Press is absolutely wonderful to work with. I couldn't have asked for a better publisher, a better team of people to work with. They've been so enthusiastic and committed to this project, and said yes to everything we wanted to do. Got us the most amazing illustrator for the book, James Fenner-Zook. The book is just absolutely gorgeous, illustrated with all these amazing illustrations. Well, you can't really see, but
you'll just have to buy it, people.
You'll just have to buy it.
That I agree, the illustration on the cover is phenomenal, and like I said, you have to buy it to see all the mini illustrations that start every new story, because like I said, when I turned that page and saw the beast, I was like, oh, I am ready for whatever's to come. Every time I finished a story, there was a new illustration, and I was like, woo, I am in. I loved it so much. Thank you for this amazing opportunity, Rob. Thank you for this idea that you had that came to fruition, for the team at Running Press that was like, we're all in, for all the contributors, for all the stories, for all the things I learned, for all the things I saw, like Alex's Sea Witch story, then your story that took place on the bus, which I won't say anymore because, again, you have to be there to read it. It was like, what a joyous read. I can't tell you how much fun I had reading this. And it also, I think my favorite thing about anthologies, and this goes back to like when I was much younger exploring anthologies for the first time, it really gives you like a sampling of a writer's style. Perhaps or a writer you haven't even known or didn't hear of or don't know anything about or curious about. And it just gives you a small sampling, and it's just like, it's honestly, this is going to sound silly, but it's kind of like the best buffet. Like you just like grab at a lot of things and then you're just like, ooh, this is so good. Ooh, this is so good. Ooh, I want to read more of that. And you're going to go for like a big handful of Rob's next book or Jonathan's next book, or go back to Alex's book. So I think anthologies are so important. And of course, sometimes they're difficult to get off the ground, but I think they are incredibly important to readers for this exact reason. So thank you, Rob.
Agree.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And my next question is, what do you hope kids will take away from this book?
Jonathan, why don't you go first? Since you spoke the last time.
Okay. I guess for me, particularly for trans kids, I hope that they will take away the knowledge that they're beautiful and deserving of love. That's so much the theme of my story. And for the rest of the anthology, even though I haven't read it yet, like I imagine, just finding a reflection of yourself and the other stories.
Yeah, I would echo all of that, and just I add that I think for me, I want queer kids everywhere to feel strong and feel empowered and feel like they have a right to be in this world, and not to let anyone tell them anything different. And so I think that's, if there was one message that I hope this book carries forth, it's that.
Well, congratulations to both of you, to Alex, on this phenomenal new addition to the YA world / YA anthology world. I absolutely loved it. I thank everyone at Reading Press also for getting me a copy ahead of time before talking to all of you.
Before we got them.
Before they got them, sorry. And for those that may want to order a copy, which please, you must go and get your own copy. Please, you can purchase at our virtual bookshop powered by bookshop.org. And please, if you'd like to add anything else, I don't see any questions in the comment section. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them. But in the meantime, I'm going to toss it to Rob and Jonathan if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Just thank you, everyone, for coming. And thank you, Kat, for organizing this. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you. And it's great to see Jonathan, and I wish Alex was still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
That's the worst thing about an anthology is you don't actually get to see people. You know, it's all over email, and so this is fun.
Well, everyone, like I mentioned, 17. Oh, we got a question. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Flora. It says, what age range do you feel this is best suited for?
I would say probably 14 and up, 16 and up, in that age range. 14 to 16 and up.
Perfect. If there's any last questions, please type them in right now before we wrap up. Flora Fauna Fiber really snuck that in right before my outro, so thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, sorry for the technical difficulties. Something must have happened with Alex. Alex dropped off, but I'm sure we're just happy that Alex was able to spend a little bit of time with us. That's the most important. And I think that must be it. And again, thank you from everyone who tuned in from all parts of the globe.
The world, yeah.
Yes,
that is so
coming.
cool. That's the best part about hosting these online is that it reaches everyone. And please do yourself a favor. Go and buy this book. It is beautiful and gift it to everyone you know.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you,
you,
Jonathan. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.